Good afternoon. I want to welcome everyone to our City of Little Rock Board of Directors agenda meeting, setting the agenda for the April 15th City Board of Directors meeting. Thank you so much for everyone who's watching and streaming from online. We'll now have a legislative update from Susan.
Thank you, Mayor. Vice Mayor and Directors, start with some of the ones we've been monitoring and working on. House Bill 1754 and Senate Bill 456 are two of the bills that we've had a lot of concern on over zoning and planning. These seem to be two of the most radical ones in terms of removing a municipality's ability to zone or plan. As of right now, there is not a lot of movement on these two. There has been a little bit of action, but the authors seem to have pulled back on both of these as of right now. So we're going to keep you informed. We are at the Capitol and are monitoring those. Really thankful to Brad, who has been down there and has been monitoring those and has been willing to speak on that and has been doing a great job. So we really appreciate him and for his insight on the impact that these can have to planning. So we really do appreciate that. Senate Bill 322 is another one. This one talks about reviews and inspections with third parties and does remove a little bit of that jurisdiction away from our planning department. So this is one that we are also concerned with, and it is making its way through. It has passed the Senate, and it is in the House committee, and it has passed the House committee. So that is one that we are still concerned with and are still monitoring, and that action happened today, and so we're continuing to work on that bill. So there is still some concern over that one. Senate Bill 518 is another one that we are working on, and our concerns here are largely on the potential for increases in insurance rates for floods and just insurance rates in general with home ownership, because this will take away a lot of the individualized planning that a municipality will have in flood planning and zoning. That's a very unique thing that municipalities have the ability to do, is to know and understand the uniqueness of what's needed in planning out floodplaning and things of that sort. And so to set a standard is a tough thing to do. And so there is some concern that this could eventually lead to an increase in insurance rates, because if you don't have unique and more structured flood planning, then you're going to have more floods and not be able to address those concerns as well. So we are also working on this piece as well. Another one that we're monitoring is Senate Bill 617. This is in regard to capital zoning. This would add about a 1 mile square area around the Capitol that they would have jurisdiction of for planning and zoning, and take that away from the city. This is a mile is square footage area is quite a large area, and they would control what's done in the streets there in terms of bike paths, whether or not there's a road diet, for instance. What we want to do with our master street plan would be affected. So we do have some concerns over this bill as well. House Bill 1130 is up tomorrow. This concerns fast track permits and housing zones, and we are going to be monitoring this one as well, because we are also concerned with this one. So we'll be watching that one tomorrow too. We are also going to be looking at House Bill 1930. This is a new one on your list for this week. This one sets a minimum reimbursement for healthcare services. What we're concerned about here is by setting that minimum standard, there could be an increase in what is required for a health insurance provider. So we're seeing this a real concern from the universities, a real concern from other government organizations that are saying they can't afford this bill. There was a carve out made for the universities. We have been trying to get a carve out for municipalities. There is a carve out if you are a part of the Municipal League's insurance plan, but there is right now no carve out if you are just a municipality. So we are anticipating that this could create quite an increase in cost to our health plan. So that is a concern to us, and we are heavily monitoring and working on this bill. So those are the major updates that we have from the legislative session right now.
And Susan, is that, that's 1520
I'm sorry, which one, Mayor?
on the health insurance?
That's 1930.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question about the health insurance because I've been watching that too. What do you think, do you know what the financial cost would be?
We don't. We have reached out to Cigna, who is our health insurance provider, to get a cost estimate, and they are working that up for us. And we are hearing a variety of numbers from other institutions who have done their own working up of numbers. I do know that some of the universities were estimating that the number was in the thousands per person insured. So if you take that and multiply that by at least 2,500 insured, keep in mind, we don't insure just 2,500, we insure more than 2,500. When you add on additional people such as spouses and kids, et cetera, then you're talking about a large cost.
Thank you. And just as a shout out to Brad, I hope the whole board appreciates how much Brad has been doing out there, really carrying a heavy load. Thank you.
Director Compuers?
Just so, I mean, there's another side of the bill you're talking about, and that is, if you look at the 6 contiguous states, Arkansas hospitals get paid multiple times less than hospitals in other areas. And if something isn't done, there won't be a hospital in Arkansas. So there, I mean, there's a balance to this bill, one way or another. So you may save what we have to pay, but we're not going to have any place to send the patients if you don't have something. And so I hope they all figure out a compromise on this deal.
We are certainly working with the author to try to find one. I think we are looking for a friendly amendment, certainly, Director.
All right. We'll have the National Development Week proclamation next week. Board members, are there any questions on items 1 through 17?
Mayor, before you do that, I wanted to let you know that the police department has asked for the addition of a resolution to enable them to do some routers and other things for their police cars. We got it this afternoon and have got it prepared for the city clerk, but it needs to be on the agenda for next Tuesday night.
All right, Susan and I will work on that. And before we get started, I just want to, before we go to the consent agenda, I want to just take this time just to share to the residents. We all know that we've experienced some damaging storms and floods the past few days. Many of us have been without power 3 days and 3 nights, and some even still today. And so a lot's moving. We want to share our appreciation to our first responders and to the City of Little Rock Public Works Department, the Parks Department, Little Rock Water Reclamation Authority, who have been working nonstop to clear trees, to open flooded streets. It's just a lot of work going on. We know our community partner, Energy, they're doing a lot of work and getting things done, but we also know due to a lot of the damage that was done, it takes some time to navigate through different things to get restoration. And so we recognize and acknowledge that, but want to make sure we take our time to honor our team members, but also share our thoughts and prayers. We do know the younger person who did not make it out in our city due to a tree, and there's been several people who have lost their homes. So we'll keep all of our positive thoughts and prayers, but also knowing the work that we're doing to get people back to recovery. Unfortunately, we've become experiencing this, and we're moving forward. So just want to share that appreciation to all the first responders, our emergency management team. Claire John's been on the call. And for any folks who may not be aware, we know this happened during the March 31st tornado, where we waived different permit fees. That's coming to an end for the tornado areas because it's been now 2 years there. However, planning and myself, we're working to figure out how we waive fees for this event. However, it's going to have to be a bit more calculated, so it's because it's so sporadic in where the areas are. We want to make certain that the areas that we do waive actually were caused by the storm and the flood as well. And so, just know, board members, if you get any questions, because we were getting questions about the as you know, while energy is the authority on electricity, we still have to give authorization for the electricity permits when people are trying to reconnect to a system. And so we're getting those questions. We're going to have to probably get with our data team and try to map out and maybe even cross-reference with energy to figure out who actually was damaged, and we can kind of cross-reference that with our planning department. But just wanted to share that appreciation to everyone. Director Adcock, is this item number 4? Did you had something? All right. Item number 4. 14. Oh, okay. 14. Sorry about that. You starting early, Director Adcock. All right. Yes, ma'am. All right. Presentation item number. Let me actually see what it is. Yes, this is part of our PIT program. We've been doing this since we had our gun violence resolution as an epidemic, and when we did the $2 million that we received from ARPA, where we did those additional PIT programs specifically for gun violence and different things. And so this is the Community Violence Reduction Services, and so now they are re-upping through the traditional CYF process. And so this would not be ARPA dollars, because those ARPA dollars are have been utilized, and it was one time. So this will come out of the traditional CYF. This was recommended by the CYF board, where Director Webb is a part of.
I would like to know how these are going to be spent out in the community.
So if my memory's correct, and I don't know if Dana's here, I know she has the reentry process, but essentially what happens is, and I can get you more details, when there's a gun victim or a gun incident, UAMS quickly provides resources to those individuals, because many times, A, retaliation could happen at the actual hospital. B, they try to provide resources to those individuals who are involved to ensure that there's no retaliation, and 2, that they get the wraparound services that they need to not live a life of violence, particularly after they've been shot.
Is it only offered at UAMS?
Yes, ma'am. They're the one who applied for it. So Baptist could apply for it if they wanted to. St. Vincent could as well, but UMS is the one who applied for it. And they, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But any of the hospital systems are, as long as we have funds available, they can apply.
Okay.
Director Hines.
Yes.
You press again. Yes.
If I could get some, John, if you could just send me the drawings on Resolution 4 for the scope of that drainage project. I want to just see how far we're going with that money. I'm real familiar with that area, and just want to take a look at that. And then I have questions for Leland on 10 and 11. And it looks like 16. That'll cover all the bases with that.
All right, Leland.
So on, Leland, on 10 and 11, are these purchases included in this year's budget for the golf courses?
Yes, sir. Good evening. Yes, these are through the bond funds that we have allocated.
Okay.
So we set aside roughly $1.5 million in bond funds for improvements for both golf facilities, and staff's helping me figure out exactly the best equipment to purchase, as well as looking at improvements for the golf course.
Okay, awesome. I know we've been lacking in some equipment to maintain them, so hopefully this will get us over the
Yes.
hump. And then on 16, that's Reservoir Park. What's the scope of this? I know the park was pretty decimated, but it's a pretty large contract for design services, so I'm trying to see what we're getting for that.
Absolutely. So Reservoir Park, obviously destroyed in the tornado. We've been working with Cromwell for 2 years now on design services. They completed a master plan for us. We presented that to the community maybe a year ago roughly at the church there and got great feedback. What this process is for is actually to allow us to go into construction documents. We've already processed improvements in terms of electrical, the pavilion there, the tennis courts and whatnot. This is to help us create construction documents for road improvements, for the ball field, which is a really big project of this, and also site locate the playground that this board approved last week, and other little bits and pieces. I will say, staff have directed me to say that this is a not to exceed amount. So as we go into some of these processes, this is kind of worst case scenario. We're also going to be able to use some federal funds for this. It's roughly 20% match there.
Do we have any of our insurance kicked in
Yes.
on our capital facility? So this is insurance and.
Yes,
money.
it's the insurance too. We receive roughly $1.5 million in insurance for Murray and for Reservoir, which will be able to capitalize some of this as well.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Leland, let's also, did you have another question? Let's also, hopefully when this passes, get some type of communication out to that particular area, just so they know what's going on. And many times when people not seeing what's going on, they don't know that we're working.
I can, you want me to share, Cappy? Here? Okay. Okay, so.
Director Peck, do you want to share? Let's let you share.
I like to share.
You're on the ballot, so, well, you're not on the
Yeah,
ballot.
I didn't want to steal her thunder.
Guess what? You never encourage, no one ever even considers. So that just shows how great of a person you are.
Or how, well, never mind. But yes, so Lance and everybody, Jean's kicking me under the table here about Reservoir. I have been working with Leland and the Parks Commission and the Parks Conservancy. Actually, it was all because of Ward 3 constituent of Kathy's, who lives across from Reservoir, who recommended doing a fundraiser. So on May 21st, we're going to have a fundraiser to raise monies for Reservoir. It's going to be at Trios. I'm donating the food and everything. We will have a save the date going out very soon. The Conservancy was super excited about it. This money would specifically, we have a goal of $25,000. I think we can raise that. That would go specifically to the disc golf project, because when we went out to the community about a year ago, we asked people to rank the things they missed most by putting a pin in a map, and that was in the top 3. So I'm very excited about that. But yes, Mayor, we are reaching out to people, not just right around Reservoir, but really all over that part of town, because it was a much-used and missed park. So we're doing everything we can to raise money.
And I'd like to add to that, so I appreciate all of what Cappy has helped us with for this.
Director Peck.
Director Peck, sorry, when I say that, yeah, Director Peck. But so also there's another event, April 26th, we're doing a public impact project there where we're having volunteers come out and we're working to clean up the park as well and plant trees. Staff have been putting a lot of effort into cleanup out there. And continue to remove dead and dying trees and whatnot. So April 26th will give us an opportunity to share our story again to the public.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Board members, any questions on items 18 through 21? Director, if you'll press your, no, Director Adcock.
19. Brad, is this the place where we have one storage building and now they're wanting to put a second building there on that same location?
Yes, ma'am. This is already existing storage building development.
And they're wanting a second one. I would like for you to check, because I had a telephone call that said that when they had that one that came before us, that they said they would not be coming back for a second one.
Okay.
And would you check, please, on that?
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Director Campiris?
Brad, while you're up there, can you talk about 21, please?
Yes, sir. Do you want 20 or 21 with you want the land use or do you want the zoning change? The whole thing. Well, it's all wrapped up together, so I'll talk about it all. The owner of the 12.27 acre property located at the southeast and southwest corners of Highway 10 and Shalamont Drive is requesting that the property be reclassified from R2 Single Family District to C1 Neighborhood Commercial District and OS Open Space District. This is for a future development. Since it wasn't a planned development, and it was a zoning from residential to commercial, they had to do a land use change, so thus number 21. This site currently is underdeveloped. To the south of it, there is residential properties. The site is right across the street from Joe T. Robinson Elementary and right next to the high school. They have a 50-foot open space between where the commercial areas will be and the residential neighborhood. During planning, there were 10 people that came out against this. They spoke about noise, traffic, property values, natural resources, and quality of life.
Your microphone.
And your staff is for these two things, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And tell us why.
Well, we think that having commercial right there along Highway 10 and adjacent to this neighborhood is in keeping. There's some commercial in the area. We think it's within keeping of what a state highway would be. I think it would serve the residential neighborhood. They have a 50-foot buffer between them and the residences. I know that when the residences spoke, they spoke about, I said natural resources. It was more like I have woods behind my house. There are animals, birds, things like that. But we feel that, development happens and this is a good spot for it to happen.
Tom? Tom?
Yes.
And this is, I want to ask this when there's no one here. When people talk about the reason not to do something, is a valid reason not to do something is loss of property value? If it's
It's definitely something that can be considered, and it's also something that's hard to articulate because many times, and I know nothing about this particular site, but many times somebody will say, this will hurt my property values. The development goes in, and then their property values are increased. So it's speculative information, but it is definitely a legitimate consideration. If you had, to give the extreme example, if you had, 10-acre lots that had jogging trails and nothing else, then suddenly you put in a bunch of 5 or 6 different fast food places. Yes, at that point, the traffic is doing a substantial change and you're changing the whole nature of the region.
Thank you.
Director Hines?
Brad, on this, so this commercial is C1 neighborhood commercial, correct?
Yes, sir.
And they propose restrictions on uses?
Yeah, they have proposed some restrictions on uses.
Okay.
I think they won't have a vape shop and other things like that.
Okay. And then the other question is, if this doesn't get rezoned and they develop it as R2, are they required to provide any buffer from the existing residential if they developed it as residential?
Residential to residential, there wouldn't need to be any buffer.
Okay.
They could back right up to the.
Right. So they're proposing a 50-foot open space buffer.
Yes, sir.
And then there'll be an additional buffer on the inside of the commercial lot per our code, right? There's another additional, I guess.
Yeah, they would have to be.
I know it's a percentage.
Yes, sir. They would have to be set back from a certain property line.
Okay, thank you.
Director Hadcock, is your hand up?
Number 23.
Tom, if you'll just give us an update on.
Yes, item number 23, back in the late seventies and the eighties, when interest rates were 20%, the housing industry was particularly hard hit because people couldn't afford 20% mortgages. So a facilities board was created by an act of the legislature that was able to be involved in these developments, and its involvement would make it profitable for a bank to lower it. I mentioned to the mayor that mine went from 20% to 12% for the first house I bought. Those have all basically paid out now, and the Residential Housing Facilities Board is ready to be dissolved. Y'all have dissolved others along the way, but this is one that's ready to resolve. That's what it's about.
Okay.
All right. Director Miller?
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 22, could somebody explain to me what reverse internet option option is? I mean, what the heck is that? Explain it to me like I'm 2 years old.
So it's just like a traditional auction, except for it's the other way. So we need to buy chairs, right? And we may have an opening bid of $50 per chair. A vendor may come in and say they'll do it for 49, and then another one may come in and do 48, and so it's driving down the price of the good to get to whatever the market value really should be for those chairs.
What do we do now?
We do open bids, and so they submit closed bids, and they just say, this is what our price is. Whereas this way, like an auction, they can see the other bids out there and drive it down that way.
Oh, so right now, we take closed bids.
Yeah, so it'd be low
So
bid.
it'd be open.
And you'd see like, yeah, this
And
is what the bid
everybody-
is. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That makes sense for us.
Yep. That is how it is defined in state law.
There are certain things that cannot be purchased this way, and that's in the statute and in the ordinance also.
Thank you so much, Nick. Any more questions on the items? If not, I also want to just share appreciation to all of City Hall who did the mobile City Hall yesterday. It was very well attended. A lot of work got done. Also to the judges who were out there waving with Judges Wave and handling some legal matters from that standpoint. Just want to share that appreciation. We'll be doing another mobile City Hall in May, kind of coming close to the Midtown area. And so more information on that. Seeing no other questions, you trying to, you gotta have your hand up. We're
Yeah, that's quick. No,
trying to distract them.
no, Mayor, I just want to, it's not a question. I was just making an observation. I know I was here last Tuesday. Were those curtains here then?
Yeah, they were up, I believe.
All right, that just shows you how much attention I pay.
All right, meeting adjourned.